Everybody, welcome to part two of England in the Middle Ages by Mr. Kenny and my history class. I hope you guys enjoyed the last one. If you didn't watch the last one, look over that side of the screen, and hopefully the card will pop up so you can go and see part one, where we discussed William the Conqueror, Alfred the Great in reverse order, and kind of how we have these foundations. Now we're going to be talking about Henry II, King John, the Magna Carta, all of this good stuff. So sit back, relax, hit that like, subscribe button, and let's get started. So we're going to fast forward a little bit of time, 100 years or so, and get under King Henry II, who is going to be one of the more powerful English kings in history. And he is going to continue to unify England through royal power. We see King Henry here pictured, and we see how he's holding a church, and we kind of see the power of King Henry here. So here's just a castle used by him, some cool views. All right, so one of the things that he does is he realizes, if I'm the boss, I need to have my laws going everywhere, not just these feudal lords having their will everywhere. So, what he does is he sets up a central court system, and he basically trains lawyers and judges for his law. He creates circuit judges, which basically um, they're going to travel around all of England to make sure that they can go and give out the king's justice. Instead of the feudal lord's justice, this is the king's justice. Okay, see how there's a slight difference there, and how it puts the power in Henry's hands as opposed to in the hands of many different people. All right. Now, what he does is, to make this work, is he creates something called the common law. And a common law is when you have laws that are the same no matter where you are in England. So if you're in Sussex, Yorkshire, anywhere, London, you have the same laws. And this is going to be very, very helpful to have a code that everyone understands, knows, and then follows. One of the things that he also does is he sets up two juries. And this is the same kind of system that we use today. So we see the foundations of our law in the United States in some of the things that Henry is doing right here. So we have the grand jury, which says, should I accuse someone of the crime? Is there enough evidence to accuse someone of the crime? Okay. So the cookie jar is empty. There is a crumb trail leading all the way to Val. Should we accuse Val of the crime of eating the cookies before dinner? Well, if the grand jury says yes, which I don't know, a crumb trail leading directly to him might be a good reason to, then there will be a trial jury, and they are going to go hear the evidence, and they're going to help decide whether Val is innocent or guilty of eating those cookies before dinner. They'll pull up witnesses, obviously, to the stand. Was he too full to eat his dinner after he had all of those cookies, or did it look like he was still hungry? So perhaps maybe he didn't eat the cookies. Perhaps he was framed. Maybe it was Sammy going, ate the cookies, and left a trail crumb to Val, who's taking a nap. They'll get to the bottom of it, I'm sure. All right, so what is common law, and what is the difference between a grand jury and a trial jury? Think about it for a second. Hopefully you said common law is the same everywhere. Grand jury decides, should there be a case? And then trial jury says, are you innocent or are you guilty? Okay. Now, Henry is going to have a son named John. There's only going to be one King John in English history, so that might give you a hint of how good this king is going to be. So John immediately raises taxes in England. He starts going punishing people without trial. He's like, oh, man, Danielle wouldn't go out on a date with me a couple of years ago, so she's going straight to jail. No trial. She didn't actually do a crime. He goes and says, I want some more fancy things, so I'm just going to raise taxes so I can have them. If anybody's familiar with the story of Robin Hood, Prince John, who's king when King Richard is away, Richard the Lionheart. We'll get to the Crusades later. Yeah, that's this guy. He's the villain in the story, the tyrannical bad king, although they call him Prince John because they say Richard is the true king. All right, so he was tyrannical. He would throw people in dungeons. He raised taxes. He didn't abide by any laws. And the big problem too is because yeah, maybe you could be a terrible king in those ways, but he was losing land to England's arch rival France in war. You see, remember how William the Conqueror, he was Duke of Normandy? The English kings traditionally had a ton of land in France that went with them, but John started losing that land. So not only is he a tyrannical ruler, but he's a loser on the battlefield. All right, so the nobles were tired of following this guy who's taking their wealth, tired of them losing in war, so they think they need to sit him down and have a little chat. And of course, this chat has them, if you notice in the picture, they are all armed, so this isn't really much of a agreement. 1215 at a place called Runnymede. We have King John being forced to sign something called the Magna Carta, the Great Charter. Now, the Magna Carta, in my opinion, is one of the single most important documents written in the Western world for a long time. This is the foundation of our Constitution, our Bill of Rights. It is such an important thing. It changes the world, at least the Western world, we should say. Now, basically, what this does is it sets a list of rules the king must follow, a list of rights that nobles had. Now, this is rights for the nobility, the rich. This is not rights for the regular person of England. But when the nobles start having guaranteed rights, eventually that'll trickle down to the English Bill of Rights in 1633. I'm estimating around there. Someone check me and leave it in the comments. And then when regular people will start getting rights. So, one of the things it says, you can't be convicted of a crime without a trial. You can't, have your private property just taken. One of the rules in there is you can't be forced to build a bridge. It's always funny seeing like the specific little things in all of the laws. It says, you just can't be taxed for any reason. It said you can have some religious freedom, which we're going to see England go back on quite a bit, many times. It's going to take away some of the king's power. No longer could a king just say, I want more money and have taxes. We have to have a great council, which is going to be the formation of parliament, coming into being. This is such an influential and important document that we have here. All right. Parliament is the, foundations for what we have for our Congress and Senate. All right. Something called habeas corpus is introduced, which is something that our government still has today, where I just can't lock Joe in the dungeon forever. I have to eventually give him a trial. As much as I want to lock Joe in the dungeon, sorry, no offense, I can't do it. He has to have a trial. All right? So, like I said, this is the foundation of constitutional law, which every Western civilization has a constitution. Many Eastern civilizations now have constitutions. Pretty much any main government has a constitution, and this is the beginning. All right. Now, so what, like I said, it states that the king has his duties, the vassal has duties, they have their rights. So, this is important. Now, let's continue on, see where this goes, where this leads us. So we have a king, Edward I, and he winds up going and creating Parliament. Parliament is this idea that there are representatives in the government to represent people. Now, we're not going to get into the details of how Parliament's set up and anything like that, but we need to know the importance of having representatives, much like how we have representatives in our government today. We elect senators, congressmen to go and basically make decisions for us. They should be fighting for our rights. They should be going, making sure that we are protected. And that's the idea of representation in our government. And this starts all because of our lessons today in England in the Middle Ages. So this is important stuff here. So we have 4 questions to make sure that you get this. And honestly, 4 I don't actually care about. I should delete that because we're not really doing too much English history here. We're looking at the important parts and how they reflect on us. So, what was the Magna Carta? What does habeas corpus mean? Why was the Magna Carta important? Well, it takes away the power of kings. It protects, the habeas corpus protects you from being thrown in jail without a trial. Magna Carta goes and has this idea that people have rights. Now, in the beginning, like I said, it is that the nobles have rights. But guess what? That'll trickle down to regular people like you and me eventually. And that is pretty awesome. Let's just take a look at here is, just a little portion of the Magna Carta. I love seeing how we have it being illuminated and beautiful. Here's just a quick quote before we wrap up. No free man shall be taken, imprisoned, seized, outlawed, banished, or in any way destroyed, nor will we proceed against or prosecute him except by lawful judgment of his peers and by the law of the land. This idea that you're not going to just take from the people, you're not going to just hurt the people. This is an important idea. So I hope you enjoyed our lesson from Henry II all the way up to Edward I. And we had Prince John, aka King John, in between. We'll talk a little bit more about him when we get to our Crusades later on. Anyways, have a great day. Hit that like, subscribe button. I'll talk to you later. Bye.